Now tell me, where is your master? Where is Grand Admiral Thrawn?
This single line made me realize something. The new era of Star Wars is gonna have an overarching villain. It's gonna have its own Thanos. Then, like half a year later, Marvel's new villain is revealed to be Kang the Conqueror. I kinda got excited at the prospect of Kang being a continuous threat compared to Thanos, who was in one movie and that was it. Then, like 2 years pass and nothing really comes of it until Ant-Man. I wonder how this is gonna go. Whoa, that was really bad. I wonder how Star Wars is doing with Thrawn.
What was first just a dream has become a frightening reality for those who may oppose us.
Oh, we are so back. I never thought Star Wars would be doing a better job at making an overarching story than Marvel, but here we are. Marvel has been on a recent decline as of late, and it shows in their new villain. However, I think Star Wars has been doing a fairly good job with their Heir to the Empire storyline, with Grand Admiral Thrawn as the new big bad. Now, when you look at the 3 shows in the Mandoverse, only 2 of them actually address Thrawn's return and build up to it, which isn't great when you don't have a lot of chapters in your story. But when you look at how the MCU has been building up to Kang the Conqueror, it's no contest as to who has been doing a better job. There are 17 movies and shows before Ant-Man Quantumania, and guess how many address Kang the Conqueror? It's 1. So I can at least commend Filoni for being semi-consistent. When you look at the Infinity Saga and how it built up to Thanos and the Infinity Stones, it's like night and day. Not every movie in phases 1 through 3 actively contributed to Infinity War's storyline, but even the unimportant stories still developed the side characters. You may not be that attached to Black Panther if you skip his solo movie and jump right into Infinity War, because he doesn't have time to really do anything compared to Iron Man or Thor, so having the solo film right before the big crossover event helps to familiarize ourselves with him, and every phase in the Infinity Saga served a purpose. Phase 1 was about forming the Avengers, Phase 2 was about opening the door to the Infinity Stones, and so on. Each phase of the Marvel Universe should be about building toward Kang being unleashed, but it's not. What's the overall goal of Phase 4? There isn't one. Half of the stories in the Multiverse Saga aren't about the multiverse, so why should I even care about this story? We should have had an entire phase of the new cast of characters learning about the multiverse in different ways to prepare them for this big battle. They do that with Spider-Man and Loki, but that's 2 of the 17 Marvel projects. Why not spend the next phase introducing new characters to Kang variants? What if one of them was in the Doctor Strange movie, since that movie is about them traveling the multiverse, and they visited a universe where one was ruled by like a Kang warlord, or one was in the Illuminati instead of Captain Marvel or Black Bolt, and Doctor Strange learned about Kang that way? Build up to the storyline naturally. Do what Quantumania did, but with each of the Marvel heroes. And also good. It also doesn't really help that all the context surrounding Kang the Conqueror is non-existent or locked behind the Loki show. Ant-Man 3 was marketed as the big introduction to Kang the Conqueror, but we don't really get to see him do anything exciting. We're told he killed alternate universe versions of the Avengers and he's conquered countless worlds, but all of that's off-screen.
Do you know how many rebellions I have put down? How many worlds I've conquered? How many Avengers I've killed?
Why should I care? We're just expected to take him seriously even though we know nothing about him. Watching every Marvel movie and show should be recommended, but not a necessity. It would help to watch Loki before watching Ant-Man, but you shouldn't need to. The earlier Marvel movies didn't really have this issue where you needed to watch everything to understand it. It was mainly with the finer details. In Infinity War, we knew everything about Thanos from his introduction as well as flashbacks later on. Watching Guardians of the Galaxy could certainly help establish his reach on the universe, but you won't be lost if you haven't seen that movie. You'll get what he's about. The layman understood and feared him. How do I know this worked for Thanos and not for Kang? Because I watched Ant-Man with my dad opening night and he didn't like Kang at all. However, Thanos is one of his favorites. He was sold on the latter the minute he entered the story. My dad didn't watch Loki, so why should he care about Kang when the movie doesn't even bother to tell him? Now with Thrawn, they could fall into this trap in the new upcoming Mando movie of needing the audience to watch Ahsoka to understand him, but I don't really think they will. Star Wars villains are usually far more simplistic than Marvel villains, and it works. There really isn't much to establish to Thrawn's lore compared to Kang's. While he is far more complex in extended material like the books, all that the general audience has to know is that he's one of the last Imperial officers, and he's trying to rebuild the Empire. The books and whatnot can establish it's for some other reason, but this tracks back to what I said about the MCU, is knowing everything a suggestion or a necessity. Here, it's the former. With Ahsoka, showing Thrawn's return helps, but we didn't need to know he was trapped in another galaxy, and he's returned now. The audience could just think he's been hiding the whole time, plotting, and now he's back. Simple. Watching Ahsoka could help, but you don't have to watch it. The same with The Mandalorian. That show is able to build up to the ever-growing threat of the Shadow Council and Thrawn's arsenal, but all of that will probably return in the movie and be reestablished later on. No one is going to be watching the movie and asking who these random people are. So Thrawn is established better, and he's not confusing compared to Kang. The question is he more competent than Kang? I'm gonna say yes. People say that Thrawn was dumb in Ahsoka because he didn't know where Ezra was, and he couldn't stop Ahsoka from getting into the castle, but I thought these were all completely reasonable. Ezra wasn't really a threat to him, so why would he bother sending out stormtroopers to the dangerous wastelands with marauders, all to kill someone who isn't even trying to attack you? Why bother? Spend your time building your defenses. The only time he actually decides to kill Ezra is when his rescue team arrives and he has a chance to leave. Ezra now has a reason to attack, so this is the perfect chance to kill him. Oh, and look at that, we now have 2 disposable mercenaries who are completely capable of killing a Jedi compared to stormtroopers. I also love how Thrawn uses time as his ally. He knows Ahsoka won't attack him because her objective is finding her friends. All he has to do is stall them while he takes off. He doesn't even need to win. And that's exactly what happens. He plays the game as straightforward as possible because he's worried that if he answers with an outlandish variable, so will his enemy. If he gives Ahsoka the simplest solution, he can let her walk into a trap on his terms. Destroying the tower gives Ahsoka the opportunity to improvise and do something unpredictable. Something that he mentioned she and her master are incredibly skilled at. This is how you write a villain. Have them adapt to their enemy. What did Kang do in his premiere movie? He got defeated in his first ever battle by fucking ants. How riveting. It's also important to mention personality is a key factor in liking a villain. None of these characters, as far as their motives go, are very complex. If there isn't really a psychology to the character, they should be carried by their personality and charisma. Kang was pretty energetic and captivating in Loki, but in Ant-Man, it's like they stripped him of all personality. He just comes off as flat. It could have been that they were trying to compensate for the lack of emotion with his intellect, but that didn't really work either because him being a tactician doesn't really play into the story at all. We don't get to see him conquer anyone, which is a problem if your name is Kang the Conqueror! Thrawn is also a character who prioritizes intellect over emotion, but as I stated before, he's actually smart, so this works. It also helps that Thrawn is written far better than Kang. He doesn't threaten people or yell or scream, he's calm and collected, and when he does feel the need to be imposing, it catches you off guard.
You've gambled the fate of your galaxy on that belief.
You wouldn't understand.
Perhaps not.
He's so fucking cool. They managed to make Thrawn threatening without killing anyone or having a big gun that shoots people. He's just a guy. And that's the genius in what makes him work. The story also gives Thrawn moments to provide levity to the story. He's serious, but his cold exterior sometimes cracks to show that odd sense of fear and doubt in his mind.
The master was General Anakin Skywalker.
I did not see this coming. In a million years!
So what's left for the future of these characters? How can these 2 stories truly conclude? Well, for one, Kang is completely done. We're never seeing him again because the actor who played him is a piece of shit. I don't know why they can't just recast him when the variants of different characters in the other Marvel movies have all looked different anyway. But I guess we're not even gonna try? Apparently the original story for the Avengers movies was that they were gonna jump from timeline to fight the Kang Council, and that honestly sounds like such a creative idea that it would have been cool to see as an ongoing storyline. We almost got that with Ant-Man, but if all those other alternate Kangs were anything like the first, I'm not sure I'd watch it. At the time of writing this script, Marvel has completely overhauled Kang with Doctor Doom. I have no idea what they're thinking with the casting choice. Well, I do, it's out of complete desperation, but that's neither here nor there. But maybe they can change things by giving Doctor Doom more of a presence and sense of being imposing. Do what Thanos did. Do what Thrawn did. Don't do what Kang did.